Good afternoon. How are you? Well, we're in the 40s. It's chilly. It's overcast. And that's the Thomas Jefferson News Report, weather report on where we are today. It seems to get darker earlier all the time, so I have to get out. And the break is good because I can go back to work after that. And I don't know, it's kind of a reward system. The news is startling for the inaction it provokes. Now, we just keep repeating stuff, and I'm saying this about media, but I don't know that it's their responsibility to do the act, but how you ask the question may matter. And what is the question? Trump continues to raise alarm. He will not deny he intends to be a dictator. He makes fun of us, saying he'll only be a dictator the first day. And he says to his people, his peeps, basically to support him. And when he's being interviewed by Sean Hannity, who's handing him softballs, he decides to go for the stands and, shout back at them. What am I going to do? Guard the vote. In other words, be prepared to fight on election day for every vote we get. And he tells them falsely, we've already won the election, so we're only there to protect it. Now, what is he doing? He is building a larger conspiracy than he did on January the 6th, not for a single day, but for a full-blown campaign. And he is doing nothing less than proposing to overthrow the government. Now, so I'm repeating it too, just like everybody else. But what do I think we should be doing? I think we should be concerned that he is representing himself to be in charge of the military and to be in a campaign of revenge and retribution. Now, if you or I said this, we would have at least the FBI at our doorstep saying, what did you mean? Or, when I was a kid in the Southern District of New York, I think one of us would have issued a subpoena to bring his ass before the grand jury to explain exactly what he was doing and to force answers. And then we might also subpoena materials that suggested he's doing this. But do we believe that we should sit quietly while he proposes to take over our government? Okay, maybe some people had an excuse because they didn't believe what January 6th was going to be. But we know what this is. And what are we doing? Somebody go up and kick our Attorney General in the ass and ask him, what really is your job? To come out with prosecutions for historic spies or to defend and protect America as it now exists under attack by this autocrat? And those of us who've read history, and I can't believe that our Attorney General hasn't, saw how a man like Hitler took over the Reich. And he took it over at the ballot box. And then he became a dictator. Mussolini, same thing. Both decided that classical revolution in the streets didn't work. So the idea was to invade the soft underbelly of the representative government and destroy it from within. That's what's going on. And do you have to take 2x4s and hit our leaders in the head before they understand that that's what's going on? They're so confident that because what happened in the past will be repeated, that is to say that our democracy's always held strong. It's just not true. The Civil War is one big reminder. McCarthyism is another. And we've had other challenges to this ever-perfecting democracy, which is now challenged with a knife to the neck of our collective nation by this failed casino operator and crooked real estate maven. We have to do more because we are handing it to him, as did happen with other dictators. People talk about, well, this may be our last vote. And so what are we going to do about it? Fight! Because he's running for office doesn't mean he is St. Trump. To the contrary, we're on notice that he is anything but that. And we're not acting upon it. When Trump's extremism can surprise Sean Hannity, you know it's outrageous. And so are we going to permit this to continue? We have the Republicans running among themselves, and none of them can overcome it either. We have the leadership in the Republican Party. None of them can overcome it. Is this something the president should be saying? Should Biden be standing out there that on my watch there will be no dictatorship? On my watch I am running to be president of the United States, a democratic republic. If we don't have this kind of leadership, if we don't call them out, then all of us suffer for the failure of leadership to preserve and protect our democracy. Nothing less is at risk. Now, are we doing anything? There are new things happening. In Nevada, the bogus pro-Trump electors are being called out. And that means that that's the third state after Georgia and Michigan. But what are we doing about the triumvirate of policies that Trump would wield as a dictator? Military troops calculated for what? Revenge and retribution. Not acceptable. Now, do I see any sunlight? Well, I do like the fact that McCarthy's leaving town because it makes the margin more narrow for the Republicans in the House to get what craziness they want. Now, going off the hill, what else can we look at? Well, let's spend a moment thinking about the UN. The UN, because we're in there vetoing things like, a ceasefire in the war. We voted against that? What the hell is wrong with us? The whole world is at risk, and we are encouraging war there. And the real war that we should be concerned about in terms of advancing funds and getting on it is in the Ukraine, but we're not doing that. I take some comfort, although I had no use for Boris Johnson, thought he was kind of a clown. But it does say something about the Brits, that Boris Johnson is attending a hearing because whether or not he took COVID seriously enough. Now, to Johnson's credit, two things. One, he comes, he apologizes, and he's there to answer. I don't mean he isn't there to persuade and defend himself as well. But he's there. He showed up. Do we have representatives on the other side among the Republicans like that? I don't think so. They're out there defending Trump, who would overtake our government. Should we be taking an inventory of our various secure forces in the armed services and in the states, among from state troopers down to deputy sheriffs? What are we doing? Now, there's another ray of sunshine. We've asked Putin to answer to war crimes. That's good. But what are we doing about Ukraine? We have work to do, and the people who have the authority are cowering in the corners, in the dark spaces of their mind, afraid to do what's necessary. Ask people in Italy, how did Mussolini happen? Ask people in Germany, how did Hitler happen? Are we going to be asking the question here in the United States, how did Trump happen? How did we lose it? How did we fail the question that Benjamin Franklin asked when our Constitution was drafted? And he said, you have a republic if you can keep it. So, that's what's on my mind today. And it's beautiful out because it's real. You're in touch with nature. You can feel it. It can revive us. Maybe we should take some of our leaders for a long walk and force them to figure out what their first principles are rather than their self-preservation in office and in power. Because power is a fluid thing right now, and it's at risk across the globe and here at home. So I say happy day to you from the walk on the Cathedral of Trees, and I'll be in touch tomorrow. Bye-bye.